Hey, Dr. Joe from Atlanta. Welcome to Your Wellness for Life. It is Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you had a great day. Today is December 25th, and many of you had a chance to get together with some family. I know that you probably had to modify things some given the pandemic, but I hope you all had a blessed Christmas day. And we certainly enjoyed having our three children come home. We prepared a nice brunch, and then we opened presents, and then we watched the movie. And that's kind of what we usually do. Normally, we open presents first, and then eat, and then go to a movie. But my daughter Lauren thought that somehow that was the usual sequence, that we would eat and then open presents. And whatever the order was, the thing that I want to discuss today is going to the movie theater part. And I think for the first time in many years, we are breaking our tradition of having a meal and opening presents, and then probably taking a much needed nap on the couch or somewhere, passing out, and then deciding on what movie we're going to go watch. And so we used to do that, but we decided not to do that today. And but for those of you who are brave enough to venture out, I thought I would discuss 6 things that you need to know before going to a movie theater. And it is an industry that is really struggling right now, all the way from Hollywood, whether you're talking about out in California or where Hollywood, Atlanta is now Hollywood East. Atlanta makes a lot of movies. But if you think about all the people that have been displaced now, all the cameramen and sound people and screenwriters and makeup artists and all the people that supply the food to support the whole activity of making a movie, they've all been displaced. A lot of them don't have a job now. And if you think about all the people that work in movie theaters, all the concession stand people and people that check your tickets and clean, there are a lot of people behind the scenes. They've all probably lost their jobs or been furloughed or something, and now are probably doing something or they're unemployed. So I really feel sorry for them, and I hope that they can find some employment. But maybe as we move forward, we can help kind of resurrect the movie industry, hopefully with time and maybe the vaccine and community immunity, we can venture back out and go to the movies. It's such a big part of being an American, and such a big part of our kind of a social fabric. So, all right, so let's discuss the 6 things you need to know before going to a movie theater. And the first question is, are there any movie theaters open? Where are they open? And the answer is yes, they are open. Of course, they initially closed back in February or March, and they were closed for several months, and then I think opened up around August or so. And yes, so there are theaters that are open. And just to give you an idea, AMC is the biggest one, the biggest theater chain. They have about 1,000 theaters. They have about 11,000 screens, so each theater has roughly about 10, 11 screens. The next biggest one is Regal. It has 536 theaters. Now, Regal is currently closed. They said temporary closed, but I think they actually filed for bankruptcy. And actually, AMC, the only reason they're open is because they restructured some debt. So they are also in trouble. And then Cinemark, the third one, has about 345 theaters. So those are the theaters, and roughly, depending on location, anywhere from about 50 to 80% of them are open and running. But I drove by my local AMC yesterday, and there's a big sign that says, yes, we're open, but I could hardly count any cars in the parking lot. I mean, I could count them on my hand. So there weren't too many. Next question, are there new movies? Yes, there are new movies, but many of them have been tabled or postponed to next year. The movie industry is hoping that COVID will get better by next year, and more people will be able to get out and watch movies. So a lot of movies have been tabled, but we actually, after we opened presents and decided to watch a movie, we streamed the new Wonder Woman 1984 movie on HBO. And so we saw a new movie that came out today and we watched it at home. So that's actually an option there. So, yes, there are new movies, but there will probably be more new movies coming out next year. And we certainly don't have them coming out as they normally did every week or every other week, the way they did last year. Number 3, safety precautions. So I mentioned Cinemark is the third largest chain, and they came up with something called Cinema Safe Program. And yes, everybody adopted this, and you can imagine what's on the list. It's from mask mandates to enhanced cleaning protocols, automatic seating gaps, limited auditorium capacity, staggered showtimes, and improved ventilated theaters. A lot of them have adopted a certain filter called the MERV 13 filter. It's very expensive. If you're very interested in that, you may want to call the theater and ask if they've put that in. And probably the one that had the MERV 13 filters is going to be the safest one to go to. Plus, you may want to ask about the ventilation system. Some of them have very good ventilation systems where the air comes straight from the top, and then this is fresh air that comes from outside, and it then flows out to the side. There's nothing that gets recirculated. You gotta be careful. Some of these ventilation systems do recirculate the same air. So you can imagine if there's someone that's infected in the theater, you could be recirculating the virus, and that wouldn't be good. So you may want to check if they have the MERV 13 filter and see what their ventilation system is like. Now, in a theater, you certainly have the benefit of everyone facing a certain way. So it's not like sitting at a restaurant where people are facing each other. But you also have the unique things that happen in a movie theater where people are laughing and screaming and shouting. And that's certainly, if someone is in there that's been exposed to COVID and now they're shouting and screaming, they certainly could be spreading the virus. So those are all things to kind of think about. But the movie industry is certainly trying to do everything they can to make it as safe as possible for the people that are brave enough to venture out. Number 4, can you purchase and consume concessions? And for the most part, the answer is probably yes. However, you may want to check, especially if you live in San Francisco or in Chicago. They have the most restrictions, and probably all of California is pretty restricted. So, and yes, think about it. If you're sitting in the theater and you're wearing a mask, you're allowed to take it down if you're going to take eat some popcorn or drink your soda or water or whatever you're going to be drinking. And then put your mask back on. I think it's you wander out and you're standing in line for concessions. That's just another exposure that you could be exposing yourself to a virus. So you might want to think twice about all the concessions, and you may want to minimize that. Number 5, what are your viewing options? Now, this is an interesting one. You certainly can just go and watch, but some of the theaters have introduced something called private watch party. I heard about this for the first time from a patient a couple of weeks ago. And so if it's a rerun movie, it's like $99, I think. And the limit is 20 people. So you can't have more than 20 people. But here you're renting the entire theater. And for a new movie, it's $149. And the other thing that they've rolled out is private gaming. So you can rent a theater out for 2 hours for $99 and knock yourself out with your video game. So that's new. Private watch party, up to 20 people, and private gaming. And the other option then is to stream the new movie at home, like we did the Wonder Woman movie today. And the other thing is you could venture out into a drive-in theater. There's only 305 left across the country. And what's funny is the 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 in the inside theater is what really was the reason for their demise back in the 70s and 80s. Drive-in theaters were very popular back in the 50s and 60s, but they've made a comeback, especially during this year, and that may be something fun and different to do with your children. Of course, there's the issue of you have to go to the restroom, and then you have to wander over the restroom, and that may be an exposure. So you may want to have everybody empty their bladder before, not drink too much while you're watching the movie, so you don't even have to mess with the restroom at the drive-in theater. But those are lots of viewing options. And then, of course, the final thing is it safe to go to a movie theater? I mentioned all the safety precautions, the Cinema Safe program that's been rolled out and everyone's adopted. So there were some experts that kind of rated different activities on a scale of 0 to 100. And it's called the safety rating. And 0 would be the most safe, and 100 would be the least safe. And let me just kind of put things into perspective for you. Going to a movie theater at the moment is not considered to be one of the safer things to do. So something that would be pretty safe would be an outdoor restaurant. Now we're in the winter. There's really not going to be a lot of outdoor restaurants unless you're down in southern part of Florida, and even parts of Florida have gotten kind of nippy. So, so this is mostly something in the summer where they have outdoor patio seating. Now, if you have any outside seating, it's going to be probably somehow contained, or there are going to be heaters in it, so you may as well be inside the restaurant. But outdoor restaurant has a rating of about 10 on the scale of 0 to 100. Going to the grocery store is about a 15 to 20, according to these experts. Going on a commercial airliner, is about 40 to 50. So now the risk is starting to go up because you're going to be exposed to more people who could potentially be transmitting the virus. The next more risky category would be an outdoor event where there is no social distancing and no mask enforced, and that's about a 40 to 50 as well. An indoor movie, according to these experts, is considered about a 50 to 60. So got to think of that. Something that would be even more risky would be like an indoor bar that makes no social distancing or mask wearing mandatory. It leaves it up to the patron, and that's about a rating of about an 80. So indoor movie about 50 to 60 on the scale of 0 to 100. And you may want to check about the ventilation system that they have and what kind of filters they use. And then obviously there are things that you can do to minimize your risk. And if you're someone that's older, 65 and older, and you have any other medical comorbidities, you may want to think about streaming this movie at home. So those are my 6 suggestions, things to know before going to a movie theater. And I hope you're having a wonderful Christmas. Hope Santa was good to you, brought you lots of presents, and I hope you had some family time, had a great meal, and we'll catch you all tomorrow. Dr. Joe from Atlanta, To Your Wellness for Life. We'll catch you all tomorrow. Bye.